Emma's hair tie snapped at 7 in the morning, right in the middle of Sophia trying to fix her braid before school, and that was the exact moment Sophia's phone rang with an emergency call from the restaurant supply company she managed. A walk-in freezer had failed overnight, and half the inventory was at risk. "I have to go. Right now." Sophia was already grabbing her coat. "I'll take Emma to school," Maria offered. "No, I've got it," Don Romano said, appearing in the kitchen doorway, still in his shirt from the night before, sleeves rolled up. "Go. Handle the freezer." Sophia paused halfway out the door, looking at her husband, then at her daughter's half-finished, lopsided braid, then back at her husband. "Do you know how to braid hair? How hard can it be?" Sophia almost laughed despite everything. "Good luck," she said, and was gone. Emma sat on the kitchen stool, half her hair still loose, looking up at her father with the specific skepticism only a 7-year-old can produce. "You don't know how to do this. I run an entire operation with 40 men under me. That's not the same as hair." He couldn't argue with that. He pulled a chair around behind her, picked up the brush Sophia had left on the counter, and stared at the tangled mess of dark hair in front of him like it was a problem with no clear solution, which, as it turned out, it was. "Okay. Talk me through it. What was your mother doing?" She splits it in 3 parts. Then she goes over, under. "I don't know, I wasn't watching, I was eating cereal." He separated the hair into 3 uneven sections, already wrong, and started crossing them the way he thought he remembered, though he'd never actually watched closely enough to know for certain. 2 minutes in, Emma reached up and touched the side of her head. "It's lumpy." "It's not lumpy." "Daddy, it's lumpy." He looked in the small mirror propped against the fruit bowl and had to admit, privately, that the braid currently forming did resemble something closer to a rope that had been in a fight. He undid it and started again. Lucas wandered in for breakfast, took one look at the scene, and had to bite down on a smile before quickly deciding it was safer to stay quiet and eat his cereal at the far end of the counter, though he kept glancing over. "Don't laugh," Don Romano said, without looking up. "I'm not laughing." "You're about to laugh." "I'm really not," Lucas said, and then immediately laughed. Maria came in with a fresh pot of coffee, saw the second attempt collapsing halfway down Emma's back, and set the pot down with the calm patience of a woman who had raised nobody but had watched 3 decades of this family fumble through everything from broken curfews to broken hearts. "Would you like help?" she offered. "I've got it," Don Romano said, in the exact tone he used when a deal was going sideways and he refused to admit it. Maria simply nodded and went back to the stove, though she stayed close enough to watch. Third attempt. He went slower this time, actually paying attention to the tension in each strand, the way Emma winced slightly when he pulled too tight and relaxed when he found the right pressure. He started talking without meaning to, the way people do when their hands are occupied and their guard drops. "You know, my mother used to braid my sister's hair every morning before school." Emma went still. "You had a sister?" "A long time ago. She was younger than me." Loud. Never sat still for anything, especially not this. He paused, crossing another section over. "My mother had more patience than I remember having." "What was her name?" "Your sister." "Isabella." He said it quietly, like it hadn't been spoken aloud in the house in years, possibly because it hadn't. "She would have liked you. She liked people who talk back." Emma considered this seriously. "I talk back a lot. I've noticed." He finished the 3rd section, tied it off, and this time when Emma reached up to check, her fingers found something that actually resembled a braid, not perfect, slightly uneven near the top where he'd started too tight, but a braid nonetheless. "It's not lumpy anymore," she announced. High praise. She hopped down off the stool and ran to the hallway mirror, turning her head side to side, inspecting the work with the seriousness of a queen reviewing her own coronation. "It's actually kind of good." "Kind of good," he repeated, mostly to himself, allowing the smallest trace of satisfaction to cross his face. Lucas, still at the counter, looked up. "Can you teach me sometime?" For when I have kids. The question caught Don Romano off guard, not the request itself, but the easy assumption behind it, that there would be a version of this family someday that looked like breakfast tables and lopsided braids and nothing worse than that. Sure, he said, quieter than before. I'll teach you. He drove Emma to school himself that morning, something he rarely did, waving off Victor's offer to take the wheel. At the gate, Emma turned back before running inside, hair bouncing against her shoulders. Are you going to pick me up too? I'll try. Try harder than the braid. I did do better on the third try. She grinned and ran off toward the other kids, her braid, imperfect, a little tight near the crown, unmistakably his, swinging behind her. He stood at the gate a moment longer than necessary, watching her disappear into the school building, before Victor pulled the car around. Rough morning? Victor asked, one eyebrow raised as Don Romano got in. You have no idea how complicated 3 pieces of hair can be. Victor almost smiled. You looked like you were diffusing something back there. I was. They drove off, and for once, the silence in the car wasn't heavy with business or threats or the weight of a world Don Romano usually carried alone. It was just quiet, ordinary, the kind of morning most fathers had without thinking twice about it, and for him, rare enough to notice, rare enough to hold on to. That evening, when Sophia finally got home, exhausted from a day spent salvaging a freezer full of ruined inventory, Emma ran to greet her at the door, hair still mostly intact from that morning. Daddy braided my hair. Sophia looked at the slightly crooked, slightly too tight braid and then at her husband, who was suddenly very interested in something on his phone. Did he now? It was lumpy at first. Then it got better. Sophia crossed the kitchen, reached up, and gently touched the braid herself, feeling the uneven tension along the crown. Not bad, she said to him, quietly, just between the two of them. Not bad at all. He didn't answer, just allowed himself the rare, unguarded smile that only ever showed up in this kitchen, with this family, on mornings that had nothing to do with the rest of his world at all.